So good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining us for our Q&A session with our franchise owner, Gabby Boy, and I will introduce her shortly. Firstly, I just wanted to take a moment just to give you a bit of an insight into Maid and what we do and how it all works. So Maid is the UK's #1 home cleaning franchise. We've been operating for 40 years now in the UK. We are the highest ranked cleaning franchise as well in the elite franchise top 100. They are essentially the main people who determine how franchise owners rank. And as I say, for the last 5 years we've been in the top 15, and this year we actually made it to #9, so a top 10 position. We are waiting for the next year's to come out in December, so we will wait eagerly for the results of that. We also each year do a WorkBuzz franchise satisfaction, which is essentially where we ask the company WorkBuzz to do an anonymous survey of our franchise owners to understand exactly how they feel we're performing as a franchisor, the support we provide, and how that helps them to grow their business. And yeah, delighted to say for the last 5 years, we've been awarded the 5-star franchise satisfaction survey, which really allows us to benchmark how we perform as a franchise. The model really is essentially built on a recurring revenue model whereby customers pay us weekly, fortnightly, monthly for the domestic cleaning services. So that's a great way to ensure that we can predict the revenue that the business is going to generate. As I say, 95% of that comes through that recurring revenue. We do also have kind of a mixture of one-offs, moving in, moving out cleans, but predominantly it's coming through that regular recurring revenue, which is fantastic. Also, it allows us to have a strong cash flow because customers pay us in advance or on the day of the clean. So it means that you've got the money in your bank account before you have to pay any of your costs. And I guess the other bit, which Gary's going to talk a bit more about, is how much demand there is at the moment. We've seen, kind of such high levels of growth for franchise owners over the last couple of years, with some franchise owners growing, to doubling, tripling, quadrupling their business. So there is so much opportunity for growth, which presents a great opportunity for people coming into the franchise now. So without further ado, I will now introduce Gabby. So Gabby joined. Welcome, Gabby. Thank you for joining us today. Gabby started in the business originally with the previous owner, but acquired the business from her in March 2023, covering the Chesterfield areas, surrounding areas there. Within the first 12 months, Gabby was actually awarded the Resale Franchisee of the Year at our annual awards. And she's grown the business by a massive 28%. I mean, it's just phenomenal. When we're seeing, when we talk about franchise owners doubling, tripling their business, Gabby's a great example of that. Her business currently has kind of net weekly sales of about £11,000 per week across 8 teams. And she's got massive aspirations to continue to drive that growth. And a lot of that comes through the marketing activity that she's doing. So, Gabby, thank you so much for joining us. Maybe we just start with a question kind of taking you back to kind of when you first joined Maid. Tell us a little bit about kind of what that was like and what roles you were doing in the business.
So I needed a job that was school hours because my little boy was starting school, and I called the previous owner and she gave me a job Monday to Friday, just working 9 till 3.
Yeah.
And then when her office manager retired, she offered me the position, and I just loved going quoting, just doing all the admin and still cleaning.
Yeah.
And then when she wanted to retire, a year or a year and a half later, it just made sense for me to buy the business.
Yeah. Well, look, so you talked a little bit there about some of the roles you did. So, I mean, I guess for people who don't know how Maid tends to operate is that when we receive an inquiry that comes through from a potential customer, we'll arrange to go and do an in-home estimate, which you referred to as quoting. So
Yep.
talk us a little bit about that process. How does that work?
So they send online inquiries or call us in the office. We book them into our calendar and then just go out quoting. So I was doing like 2, 3 days, just going out quoting, go to the home, do the in-house estimate, leave them with a copy, and then they book in.
Great. I mean, I think one of the things kind of how Maid operates differently to how others might perceive is that we don't have an hourly rate. So we, give them a bespoke price for the home.
Yep.
Yeah.
So we just quote on every house because they're all different.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, definitely. So you talked a bit about kind of that role with the quoting. I know you were still going out and doing some cleaning as well, carrying out some of the administrative roles within the business. Quality checking, was that something that you were
Yeah, I did go and do that when needed. Just
Yeah,
did everything.
no, no, that's great, Gab. I mean, I think with our business, there's the two kind of there's obviously bringing on the new customers, which is really important, but then it's also looking after the existing ones. And as we will probably touch upon in a bit, we operate at the premium end of the market, so we charge a premium price for our cleaning service. As we've said, it is a bespoke price. So therefore, we need to ensure that we're delivering a high quality service as well, which is really important. So you decided that you wanted to kind of transition into kind of the ownership of the business, and obviously I know Angela, the previous owner, was retiring. So kind of what steps did you go through to make that happen?
Um, I can't really remember. It seems so long ago now.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
obviously, oh, go on, sorry.
no, I was going to say, I know we had some initial discussions about, and you came down and met with us, which was
I
a
did.
good interim step.
Yeah, I was still umming and ahhing because it was a big decision to make. But after coming down to Maid, it made my decision. And then as the process were going through, I came down for the week training, which was
Yep.
really good. And then I was just launched into it and left.
Yeah, and look, clearly it's worked for you, because as I say, I think when you took over, well, just before you took over the business, I think it was probably doing sales about £8,000 a week. Am I right?
Yeah,
Yeah. So I mean, you've kind of added another £3,000 to that weekly sales in such a short space of time. So yeah, I think that's really testament to how you've managed to achieve that. So what kind of things have allowed you to, what kind of initiatives, activities have you been doing which has allowed you to see that kind of level of growth in such a short space of time?
So I made the decision instead of having one office staff, which the previous owner had, I made the decision to have two. So it was constant. We was always available to jump out cleaning, extra quoting, but also stay in control of the business.
Okay.
And
Yep.
then obviously the marketing. So with the paid search and the flyers, the quotes were coming in that fast. We just don't have enough hours in the day, so just having extra office staff just meant that we had more time
Sure.
take
So
on us.
when you touched upon paid search there, just for people who aren't aware, so yeah, essentially there's kind of probably two, three core elements of our franchise marketing activity, which is obviously the paid search, which is essentially a paid advert on Google. So when someone's searching for cleaning in Chesterfield, they'll come through to your page on the website. I know flyers, you've been delivering
I've done
flyers.
flyers. I've had a budget with a local company that do flyers, and I
Right.
gave them a budget, and every month I've just kept it at the same, and it really does. The flyers are really do work. I can
Yeah,
tell with the
brilliant.
areas they're in that month.
Yeah, fantastic. No, that's good. I think that kind of would be echoed by other franchise owners that when they talk about how successful the flyers can be. And then also kind of another element of another strand of the marketing really is the social media advertising. And I think one of the things we tend to hear that's from franchise owners is that because we manage that and manage that content centrally, it just takes something off your plate that still gives us a very modern way to advertise the business.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
really great that you do that. And we just share it in our areas locally.
Yeah, brilliant. Well, I mean, that's great. Yeah. So, as I say, we kind of create the content and we've got new content coming out daily, which is, obviously takes a lot of time. So it removes that pressure away from franchise owners. But then, as you say, Gabby, you can then use that locally on community groups within your area to promote the
Yeah.
business, whether it's for staff or customers, which is great. So you talked about investing in the kind of management team, you talked about marketing. Was there another element to that that's allowed that growth?
Um, a lot of hard work.
Yeah,
I never say
absolutely.
no, and I do have some really good staff.
Mhm.
I do have really good teams. Some of them have been with Molly Maid Chesterfield for years. I've got some new ones. Obviously, we're growing the business, and they're just brilliant. They're always really hard working.
Yeah. No, look, and I think, that kind of comes to that capacity. I mean, you were just saying to me before we kind of come on live that, at the moment, you're kind of, again, the demand, there's so much demand there. You're busily trying to recruit more staff to cope with that capacity. And also, we spoke about the board behind you, which is all the positive comments that have come back from customers, which is
Yeah,
lovely.
it
But
looks
you
a
said
bit
there was
messy, but
an incentive that you did for the staff as well.
I did. I did an incentive. The team that got the most reviews on Google or on any other, I can't remember the other one, I think it was
Trustpilot, yeah,
Pilot.
yeah.
And then they got a spa day.
Are they? Lovely, really nice. So again, you probably, you're being a bit hard on yourself in terms of the activities you're doing, but as well as getting that capacity, the team is credit to the investment you're putting into them as well.
Yeah,
Both with time and with incentives like that, which just mean that it provides a great platform for them to want to come to work each day, deliver a great job to your customers, which is testament to the number of inquiries that you've got there, a number of good comments that you've got from customers, which is great. So kind of moving on from that, one of the concerns I guess many new franchise owners had is about that demand. I mean, in terms of, you talked about the activity that's driving, do you know kind of roughly how many inquiries you're getting through each week?
so it does vary.
Yeah,
Some weeks can be 40, 50 inquiries.
yeah,
Some weeks 15, 20. It
okay,
does depend, it does vary, but it is always enough to send Jessica out quoting 2 full days a week.
perfect. So targeting kind of what, 10 to 15 estimates each week,
10
is
to
that?
15, yeah, a
Yeah,
week.
great. I
And
mean, I
some weeks
think
I'll go to get more in.
absolutely. Yeah. Well, I guess, you talked about investing in the team that helps you with that. And if you've got people that can help you, it means you've got more capacity to take additional inquiries or additional estimates, which can help to grow the business, which is,
Yeah.
kind of really evident in the kind of the numbers that you've been hitting, which is great. Um, in terms, I mean, I think one of the things that we talk about in terms of the conversion rates, I mean, typically we usually see a kind of a national average of about 27-28% from inquiry through to customer. But I think when you look at your numbers, Gabby, you're probably converting nearly 35% from inquiry to customer. So again, that kind of really feed back into your inquiry management, your estimating abilities and closing the deal, and then obviously keeping them happy after that. Um, Maybe we could just touch upon a little bit about some of the customer care that you do. Obviously, we talked about how important keeping those customers once you've got them on. What kind of processes do you have for that?
So when the week before all cleans, we always either email or call the customers to let them know. So that's always a good opportunity to ask them how they are. Is everything okay with the cleans? And some customers ring to pay over the phone. So again, that's a good opportunity to make sure they're happy. We go and do quality checks, especially with new cleans. So one of us in the office will pop out just as the team are finishing, just to make sure everything's okay. And always just keep an eye on the customers and look after
Yeah,
them.
no, that's great. And I think, one of the things which, I mean, we have a very low cancellation rate, about 2.5% across the organization, which essentially means for every 100 customers, each week we only have about 2.5 that cancel. So, I mean, that's really kind of testament to the levels of work that franchise owners are investing into that customer care side, which clearly is important. Um, I guess in terms of another question that often comes up from prospective new franchise owners is about the recruitment side of it. Kind of how has that been for you? Where do you tend to find staff from?
So I always put if I need somebody, I put on an Indeed post on. But
Hmm.
a lot of the staff know people sometimes, and they want a job. But it is predominantly Indeed.
Okay.
Um, yeah, but I don't struggle. Not really struggled to get any staff. Touch wood. As
No.
of yet, there is a lot of people, especially for this because it's school hours. So mums with children in school, they need something that's going to work around the children, and I do that for them. So it does work really well.
Brilliant. No, that's great. And obviously, you've talked about some of the things you do, like the incentives that you have in place to kind of maintain and motivate the teams. And I think, you touched upon some of the things. I mean, we kind of class ourselves as the best employer in the home cleaning industry, and some of the reasons are because we have those flexible working hours,
Yes.
good rates of pay. Obviously, they're provided with full uniform, holidays, pensions, all those benefits that come with that. So
Oh,
a car, absolutely. Yeah, no, yeah, that's a really good point. So look, that's great in terms of the staffing side of it. I guess kind of before we finish up, kind of as a franchisor, obviously we've talked about a couple of things that we try and do to help you with the marketing side of it, but there's also some incentives. What
there is.
incentives have you benefited from
Well, I've
recently?
just been to Porto.
Yeah,
I went to Rome a couple of years ago.
brilliant. So
So
that's part of
quality of
the Morning
sleep.
Maid Escapes program. Yeah.
Yes. So we get the target, and that really motivates me because I like a target.
Yeah.
But there's also the President's Circle.
Okay.
So you do the Molly Maid Away Day, which is
Yeah.
good. And then you get some money back into your marketing pot towards marketing as well.
Yeah.
Um,
So yeah, I mean, just to clarify, with the Molly Maid Escapes program, essentially you get set up like over a period of 13 weeks, so like one quarter, a target to grow your sales by, and then the top 7 franchise owners that achieve that target then get whisked off to
oh,
a nice European destination for the weekend, which is great. And yeah, as you say, the President Circle is essentially something for our top performing franchise owners, of which obviously Gabby is one. So yeah, those kind of top 10, 12 franchise owners get some nice perks with the away day, which might be a trip away to Ascot races or an evening out at the theatre in London or something like that. Again, really to kind of help motivate and kind of get them engaged with other top performing businesses. So no, that's great, Gabby. I guess maybe then just to kind of finish up questions from me, and we'll open it to the floor. But you obviously, it's still relatively new in the business as ownership, only 18 months. But if you were to kind of step back to that, would there be anything you'd do differently, or would you any advice you'd give yourself if you were starting again?
I think the only thing would be just to trust my instinct a little bit more in regards to, staff and things like that. Um, yeah, and just
Yeah, I mean, I
that's
think
about
when
it really.
we was
Learning
you
learning
know,
their personalities, sorry, learning their personalities as well. What drives them, what motivates them. Some want loads of praise, whereas some are happy with £10 for a coffee in the
yeah.
middle of the day. Just learning about their personalities.
No, absolutely. I mean, that's something that's really nice that you were saying is that, obviously the stuff we're a service-based business, so everything that we do is about trying to provide them with, kind of that service which comes from our staff. So that's why we have to invest in the staff to make sure they feel valued because they're the
Yep.
ones that are going out day in and to do it. So, but I know you were saying is that, sometimes you get the wrong staff when you recruit them, and it's about trying to get them out early before they, have an
You
impact
do
on
know
others.
pretty quick whether they have got it in them or not, because you do learn quickly.
Yeah.
I'm learning.
Absolutely.
I'm getting
Always learning.
better.
I mean, I've been with the business now for 17 years and I'm still learning all the time. So yeah, look, I mean that's brilliant. We have had a couple of questions come in, so I'll just kind of pick up on those. One, obviously, where do you find the customers? And I think we touched upon a bit with that when we talked about the marketing. So yeah, kind of really 3 core strands of the marketing, which is the paid search advertising, which is the Google paid search. So if the area that you will cover, if someone inquires, so in Gabby's area, someone will go, being as in Chesterfield into Google, and it will come up with the Molly Maid advert. When they click on that, they'll go through to the Molly Maid website, and in particular Gabby's page. And then from there, they'll be able to submit a service inquiry or give you a call, and then that comes directly through to you to manage.
I get a lot of customers from the cars because they're logoed. So
Yeah,
all it takes is all the cars driving around. I've seen your car, and they ring up, and word of mouth is a big one for me in my area as well. So we
absolutely.
like
And how
one.
many cars have you got traveling around Chesterfield?
I've got 8 cars.
8 cars, yep.
Well, I've got 9 because I've got the one that we use for quoting. So we always use the Molly car as well because it's just advertising as we're going out quoting. I mean, I've got
Absolutely.
one street, I do 4 houses on that street in one day because it's
Yeah.
just gone from 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, and it's really nice for the
Uh,
girls. They love that day.
Absolutely. Very cost effective as well.
Mm.
So yeah, look, great point about the cars. We didn't touch on that earlier, but yeah, obviously the other parts are the flyer distribution. So within the area that you cover, obviously we've got kind of data on which postcodes yield the highest potential customers. So
Yeah.
we obviously share that with you, and then you can plan your flyer distribution based on that. And then also, as I say, social media is another big part of that. So yeah, it's a combination. We talk about the marketing mix, and it really is a mix of activities that help drive those inquiries. Another question come in about kind of costs. Yeah, of course. I mean, I can give you a bit of a rundown. I mean, essentially, as a service-based business, the large part of our costs come from the staff. We represent about 50% of our cost because the staff are employed locally by the franchise owner. But I guess, Gabby, employing them means that you benefit from that reliability and consistency, which customers love.
Yep, they do. And
Yeah.
the customers appreciate the fact they're looked after as well.
Yeah, absolutely. So
Get
yeah,
more
rather
than
than
minimum
having
wage, they get holidays.
Yeah, absolutely. So rather than having a different person turn up the house each week, I know you try and keep that
Always.
consistency.
Yeah.
They like having the familiarity of knowing who's coming
Yeah.
into their home.
Same team, same day, same time. But we
Yeah,
still call them the week before just to confirm it in case they've got any appointments
nice.
and again to check on them. So
Yeah, nice touch. So yeah, I mean, essentially, how the profitability works is in a typical business, 85% is your cost with about 15% profitability. Some franchise owners, where they make purchases like sometimes they'll buy cars or and things like that, they can eke a bit more out. So sometimes you're looking at kind of 17, 18% profitability. But yeah, typically about 85% cost and about 15% profit is what you would normally see. Another one's come in about kind of marketing investment. I would think, without looking at your numbers, probably somewhere in the region of between 2 and 4% is normal. I would think, given your level of growth, you're probably at the slightly higher end, Gabby, about 4%.
I I don't know
Yeah,
percentages. You probably know better than I
yeah,
do. I just have a budget every month and I've not changed it. I just kept it, keep it growing. Did hire
absolutely.
it actually. I did hire it before summer.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I think obviously with having a marketing team on site, it allows you to speak
I
to the Kanika
just
or Sam and take
ring
their
Kanika,
advice.
yeah.
Yeah. Um, Anyone else on the call at the moment got any other questions they would either like to ask Gabby or just submit through the chat? Someone else has put on here about how much support is provided by Molly-Maid. Well, I think from our perspective, our main focus at Molly-Maid is to support our franchise owners to grow. And we'll try and do anything that we can to help with that, anything that's possible. Would you feel that that's the kind of fair to say, Gabby?
Yeah, that's why I liked the franchise. So even if you're just having a bad day, something stressing you, you can ring your, oh, well, I've got Fiona,
Yeah.
and just ring her about anything, and she's there. And if she's off that day, somebody else will always answer.
Nice.
So
Yeah,
it
so
is,
essentially each franchise owner has their own business advisor that kind of is their first point of contact. We're only a small team here of about 11 or 12, but yeah, I think every franchise owner knows they can pick up the phone and speak to
about
one of
anything.
us, and we're here to help, which is great. Um, I guess unless anyone else has any other questions. Well, look, thank you very much for your time joining us today. As I've said, kind of in terms of next steps, you contact me. I'm available to answer any questions you have. If you've got any questions directly for Gabby, then please submit them. I think you've all got my email address that I've sent out over the last week or so. So yeah, feel free to submit them to me, and I can share them with Gabby, and we can come back to you with a response. But look, Gabby, I think thank you so much for joining us today. It's been really insightful and obviously all the best for your continued success. Sorry, there is a quick question just come in. Did you want to unmute and join us to ask, or do you want to tap it into the group chat? Let me just see if they. Sorry, yeah. What's the price for the franchise? Yeah, so I mean, you should have had the brochure which I sent out with all of the inquiries, but essentially the price for the franchise is 21,975. And then that's broken down into kind of two elements. So what we do is we ring fence £12,000 initially for all of your marketing budgets. So that's really to kind of focus on generating those inquiries as you grow the business as a new start. So that covers things like paid search, monthly paid search budget, that covers flyer distribution, that will cover social media advertising. So yeah, it's a really kind of comprehensive budget to kind of drive those inquiries. I mean, we typically see new start businesses achieving sales of between 75 and 100,000 in the first year. Also, then for the remaining 9975, it's made up of a number of components. One is to have a business plan produced, which you can then use to secure funding to help with the start and launch of the business. It will cover all of your equipment and supplies to launch the business, so all of your cleaning equipment, all of your cleaning products, of which we have our own range of environmentally friendly ones. It provides you 150,000 flyers. So basically, it's everything you need to get the business up and running. And as I say, if you want a bit more of a detailed breakdown of that, then I'm happy to send it. But yeah, it should be covered in about, I think it's page 12 within the brochure. So yeah, hopefully you can review that in there. But yeah, please come back to me if you've got any more questions. Otherwise, I think that's it. So look, Gabby, thank you so much again for your time today. It was really appreciative. Yeah, if you do have any more questions, then please don't hesitate to get in touch. And we look forward to talking to you again soon. All right.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Gabby. Cheers.
Bye.
Bye-bye.